Hey guys, it's Brandon here. Now, whatever you do, don't click off this video. I'd hate for you to partner with the wrong real estate broker and make a poor investment decision in a short-term vacation rental property. In this video, we're going to meet Mr. Alex Kinnison. He's a first-time investor that found me right on YouTube, got with me. We purchased a property over at the Meridian Plaza. We're going to check that property out, go through those numbers with you so that you understand all the operating expenses, the gross rental income. Plus, we're going to do a really cool investor interview where he's going to answer lots of the questions that you most likely have as a first-time investor in Myrtle Beach oceanfront condos. I don't want to hold us up. Let's get into the video now. All right, Alex, so what initially drew you to Myrtle Beach oceanfront condos? You know, knowing that this was a first-time investment for you, you could have invested in Florida, you could have invested in Tennessee, you could have, put your money in lots of other short-term rentals. Why did you choose Myrtle Beach oceanfront condos?
Growing up, we always came to Myrtle. This has always been second home. About 5 years ago, we moved down here. I work in hospitality. We started getting into the business of seeing how much these condos go for, the business of return every year. We're growing market with the rentals and all the snowbirds coming down from North and Canada. This seemed like a good opportunity to get my first step in the door.
Yeah, sweet. Now, all those are very, very important factors, guys. For sure, snowbirds and retirees rent oceanfront condos in the off-season months. Even large groups of golfers rent. Now, that's in addition to the 20 to 22 million tourists that come and visit the Myrtle Beach oceanfront every single year. All right, guys, let's get in unit 204 right here at the Meridian Plaza. Guys, this unit has been completely redone, as you can see. Beautiful flooring. Look at the accent walls. Look at the gorgeous ceiling. Wow, so you walk in right to a nice bedroom, as you can see here. Very nice flat screen TV. And I will say that the barnyard door with a mural is a nice touch. Now, again, you see accent walls throughout this entire unit. The bathroom is absolutely gorgeous, as you can easily see. Look at that. Man, just want to check this out. Not bad, not bad. All right, guys. Very good work there. Your kitchen, again, stunning. Very well done. As you can see, a very cool little bar here. And then, of course, your living room. And again, check that ceiling out. Very, very nice. Accent walls, flat screens. Some shelving here to the side. And, of course, an excellent ocean view. Well, there's a little bit of dirt in front of our view right now, as you can see, as they're busy constructing over towards our left. But this is some of the on-site amenities from the balcony. You can see some of the other balconies here. And then to our right, you can see the boardwalk. Well, guys, that basically wraps up this gorgeous tour. Unit 204 at the Meridian Plaza. So you can quickly see how oceanfront condos are a very profitable investment. Now, let's just kind of walk through what I've seen interviewing many investors. They normally start out with a long-term rental property. They find out that there's really not that much upside in it. They're fixed on the income. They're locked into a contract, a 12-month contract. There's no upside. However, then they learn about short-term vacation rentals. And they go, oh, wow, I can make some good money on short-term rentals. Well, they'll buy a property a block off the beach. It's not oceanfront because they're afraid of HOA fees. Let's just be honest. They're afraid of all the operational costs. And sure enough, they find out, oh, I can rent it 6 to 8 months out of the year, but I can't rent it 12 months out of the year. And then they figure out oceanfront condos, they can rent 12 months out of the year, and that the upside is the highest upside out of all of the different types of investments between long-terms and short-term rentals. So, guys, oceanfront condos are in a league of their own. They give you some of the upside of the stock market without all the risk. There's obviously a lot more reward than a long-term rental because you have a good year, you make an extra $15,000. I mean,
Yeah,
I like having a good year. Now, I'll tell you, on many of the 3 and 4 bedroom oceanfront condo deals that I'm seeing, they're pulling in between $24,000 and $45,000 in profit a year. Those are the kinds of deals, the best deals that I put my clients in. Now, talk to us a little bit, Alex, about your research process.
So I probably spent about a year of just visiting different condos up and down Myrtle Beach and even up in North Myrtle Beach. There was a couple factors I always wanted when looking for a room. Balcony size was a really big one for me. 90% of these places down the strip have that small rectangle balcony all of us have seen growing up if you're coming here. Here it's a much built out balcony. It's like a circular shape. And the kitchen was also always the second biggest factor for me. Instead of like those little galley kitchens you always see, this one has a much bigger kitchen, has like a little breakfast nook you can sit in. It just feels a lot more homey, a lot more comfortable, you know, when people are coming to the beach. Like, and that's something I thought that would go well over with an audience.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, what are the key factors that you consider when choosing specific condo locations? So like, why did you choose Meridian Plaza over maybe Caribbean or Landmark or some of the other choices?
One reason I started to like Meridian was it's in walking distance of the Skywheel. There's a lot of foot traffic, restaurants and everything right here versus if you're buying, you know, a little bit closer down Caribbean, you're going to have a little bit longer walk and everything. Here, it's like you're a couple blocks, you know, restaurants, shopping. If you're coming to the beach, you know, to spend time outdoors with your family, you're here. You know, we're right here in the midst of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And truly, guys, like I'm looking at like the heart of Ocean Boulevard from here. It's maybe 2 blocks, 3 blocks up the road, so it is going to put you in close proximity to a lot of great attractions. And you're probably 6 minutes from Broadway at the beach.
Yeah, at most.
A 350-acre tourist attraction with restaurants and shopping and boat rides on the water and fireworks, you know, for 4th of July. And they even do like summer nightly fireworks shows. And the Wonder Works, which is a great little place for the kids. It's an upside down house with all kinds of cool activities. I know they had a movie theater out there at one time. Like Wahlburgers is out there. Dave and Buster's is out there. Boutique shops. I mean, it's where people go when they visit Myrtle Beach. You don't want to miss it. And it's right here next to the Meridian Plaza. Now, how did you evaluate the potential rental income versus purchase and upkeep cost?
So a lot of the research is, you know, we kind of pulled the raw numbers. It's like, you know, we had an estimated, okay, this is what it's going to cost per year and kind of the line that I wanted to be at, you know, of potential income. You know, the numbers kind of really fit with, you know, ROI and everything. I think last year this room sat about at 65% occupancy. Felt like that was a little bit low. We can do a little bit better. So it's like, it just made sense here versus some other places we're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, as you can probably see on the screen right now, I'm flashing those numbers for his unit on that screen. You can very well see that I lay out all of the operational expenses for my clients. I gather all that information. We look at what the best performing units out here have done in the past so we can kind of gauge at least a ceiling of what's possible out here for you to make in gross rental income. We're using hard data and not projections, which, you know, anybody can tell you, oh, it can make $80,000, it can make $100,000. But we want to see that hard data from other investors in that particular building, and that's the kind of information I gather for my clients. I believe you should invest in oceanfront condos in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because you can enjoy and increase the passive income of your oceanfront condo through the 20 to 22 million tourists that visit the #2 vacation destination on the East Coast each year. Not only can you enjoy the equity paid for by visiting tourists, but you can also anticipate the over 100% appreciation experience at many of the oceanfront resorts in our market during the recent decade. I believe you should invest in oceanfront condos in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because you can depreciate them, reducing your overall tax burden, keeping more money for you and your loved ones, and ensuring unnecessary taxes aren't paid. I get calls and emails every day from investors just like you looking to make their move into the Myrtle Beach market. They want to invest in short-term vacation rental properties. They want to invest in oceanfront condos. They want to know where the best deals are in our market. Well, guys, you're talking to the right person. 843-360-1737. I'm going to help you put your hands on the best deals in our market. If you're a first-time investor or a seasoned investor, if you're 1 year, 6 months, 3 years out, I don't care where you are in the investing process, pick up the phone, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text message, and let one of the many stories on our channel be one of your stories. So let's work through your numbers right here at the Meridian Plaza. Now, your purchase price for this 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit was $179,900. Your down payment at 25% was $44,975. Your average gross rental income from the units I collected, I found there between 2022 and 2023 was $42,864. And then your Airbnb platform fee, which was 3% of the gross rental income, was $1,285.92. Now, if you take that $1,285.92 from the $42,864 in gross rental income, you are left with a subtotal of $41,578.08. Your principal and interest for the year was $12,156. That is considering an 8.25% interest rate at a 30-year fixed mortgage. Your taxes, your property taxes were $3,524.28. Your cleaning services were $3,600. That is 30 cleanings at $120 a cleaning. Now, it could be less, it could be more. Your first 2 years, most likely you're going to allow for shorter stays, which means you're going to have a lot more turnover, which means your cleaning costs could be higher. Then after you've built up enough online credibility through collecting those online reviews, you are very simply going to put in that 1 week minimum stay, and those cleaning costs will equalize and stabilize out over the life of the investment. Now, your local hospitality and accommodations tax was $1,285.92. That's 1.5% to the city of Myrtle Beach and 1.5% to Horry County. Those are taxes that are included. Now, there is a South Carolina state tax of 10% that when you use the Airbnb platform, it passes through to the guest. On other platforms, that is not included. So Booking.com and VRBO, you need to check into the platforms and what they allow and what they do collect and make sure that you're abiding by all of those tax rules. Now, your annualized HOA dues were $9,060. That's for the year. That's your total HOA fees. That's going to bring you to a subtotal of $30,011.20. If you subtract that from the $41,578.08, you are left with a projected profitability of $11,566.88. If you do only $5,000 better, we're talking $16,000 in profit, and $10,000 better in gross rental income, we're talking $21,566. Yes, you can make an additional $10,000 doing additional marketing on these condos. Again, I spoke with a lady who used Instagram to make extra money marketing her property. She had a 1-bedroom and made $72,000 over at the Caribbean Resort. Now, Alex was not afraid of the HOA fee, upkeep cost. He was not afraid of it. The best resorts in our market are going to have the highest HOA fees. They're going to have higher HOA fees. I mean, HOA fees protect the property's value. It keeps everybody honest and everybody accountable. The people that make the HOA fees, that decide on what you're paying for, they're making value-added decisions that protect the property's value over the long haul. Ultimately, they're going to maintain all the on-site amenities. They might add new amenities like water parks and things like that. But it's going to create, because they're taking care of the property, it is going to increase the property's value and appreciation and protect the long side of your investment. You know, not only do oceanfront condos make annual profits, but they appreciate. And so, you know, and I've seen many oceanfront condos, they're making like $32,000 a year over 10 years in appreciation. That's what you want. You want to make sure that your HOA fee, who consists of people that own and live there, are going to make those value-added decisions and provide all those great amenities so that your guests keep coming back and renting that location. If the building gets ran down, if the amenities are broken and get ran down, people aren't going to come anymore. And And the people that are making the HOA fees, they own at that particular resort. So they don't want to pay those fees any more than you do. So I often have people, they'll say, you know, well, the HOA fees are high. A lot of first-time investors are concerned about HOA fees. That's part of the investment game when it comes to oceanfront resort-style short-term vacation rental properties. The more amenities, the higher the HOA fee, the better the reputation of that particular resort, the stronger draw in traffic that you'll have, and the better that property should appreciate over time. Now, can we ever guarantee future profits? No. At the same token, we can look at the historical numbers and get a pretty good idea. And I can tell you, most investors will buy a property, they'll hold it for 5 to 7 years, they'll watch that property appreciate, and then they'll sell it and buy another one.
Yeah.
Or two.
Yeah, definitely. Best piece of advice I ever got. The guests are going to be paying HOA fees. You know, they want to come and get used to beach access. They're going to come swimming in the pools. You know, during the summer months, they're going to be coming here. They're paying for it. You know, they're going to be enjoying these amenities so we can keep these buildings nice and upkeep for, you know, future years.
Yeah, so, and that's a very valid point. The guests pay the HOA fees. You're not paying it. And if you buy the right condo, you get a savvy broker, an investor broker like myself, to help you. Well, your guests pay the operational cost anyways, and you walk away with the profit. That's the goal. All right, Alex, so talk to us about the financing options that you explored on this oceanfront condo right here at the Meridian Plaza.
So when looking at these condominiums, there's a lot of financing available. I started looking at like DSCR loans. Ended up, we actually just got like a private loan that we used for financing through Lindsay Benton. Shout out to Legendary Mortgage.
Come on, Lindsay. She was great at getting this deal done. And was it a fight?
Yes.
Dude, it was a fight.
It was like, we prayed about 2 months, like through the whole closing process and everything. Had a little scare in the middle of it. You know, she came through, was terrific. You know,
yep.
Big shout out to them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And guys, sometimes that's the case. Sometimes a deal is a fight. We stuck with it. We were persistent and consistent, and we got the deal done, but it was a fight. Now, all that being said, there are 25% down programs, 20% down programs, 15% down programs. There are various programs for financing on what's called a condotel. In the finance world, these are called condotels. They are hotel condominium conversions, hotels that have been converted into condominiums. They do carry a little bit higher of an interest rate because it is an investment property. You have to consider your lender like a partner in the deal. They know that you're buying this condo to make money, and they want a piece, they want a cut of the profits. So that's kind of how it works. Now, currently interest rates are, 8.25%. They are a little bit up. You might get some in the low 7s. They have been jumping around a little bit, but condotels generally do have a higher interest rate. Now, they do have varying down payments. Your down payment was how much? 25%?
Yeah, 25%.
25% down, which is typical, and it's a safe assumption to go into this planning for a 25% down payment. Now, how do you see the local market evolving in the next few years, especially in terms of tourism and property values?
I think it's growing. I mean, we have more people than we can hold that's moving here right now. And vacation-wise, I mean, it's just getting more popular by the day. The city of Myrtle Beach itself is starting a lot more festivals. Country Music Festival has been getting bigger every year.
40,000 people come.
Yes, and it's last even 2 years have gotten crazy big. And there's also a lot more of the art district. Like, the city's putting money back into tourism to get more people here just outside of the beach.
Yep.
Like, it's an expanding market in my mind.
For sure, for sure. Now, I can tell you guys that baby boomers are retiring at the rate of 10,000 per day, and they're moving to Myrtle Beach into Florida. Now, Florida's seen a ton of traffic, absolutely. I think last year was over 764,000 people moved to Florida, yes. We had 90,600 people move to our market last year. We have been ranked the #1 fastest growing place out of the 150 most populated places in the entire United States, and it's largely due to baby boomers retiring at the beach. They're retiring at a rate of 10,000 per day. They're moving to Myrtle Beach into Florida, and they figured out that Myrtle Beach, they get more for their money than they do in Florida. And I'll give you a good example. Rufia Nigro, who I've had on our channel, She owns 27 oceanfront condos. She lives in Florida, but owns all the oceanfront condos here. Our oceanfront condos are cheaper than their oceanfront condos, and they make the same amount of profit. So it's just a smarter move if you're looking between Florida condos and Myrtle Beach oceanfront condos to invest in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, question for you, Alex. Were there any unique regulations or HOA guidelines in Myrtle Beach that influenced your decision to move here, to invest here?
I would say one thing, then this is legislature that's coming up in North Myrtle Beach, is they've been talking about you have to go through a private management company. You can't do your own self-management.
Yep.
Here in Myrtle Beach, there's been no discussions like that. You know, if you want to buy it, put it on Airbnb, do it yourself, you're more than welcome to.
Absolutely.
That was a big attraction for me. Like,
yeah, and they had mentioned something about self-managing people having to have somebody within 30 minutes that could respond. I mean, there's a handful of things that the city of North Myrtle Beach has talked about. Now, have any of those things taken effect yet? No, it is discussions. I've not heard of anything. Have you heard of anything?
I heard they was having like a closed legislature meeting in Charleston.
Really?
This was in the last week.
Wow.
So instead it was supposed to come to a public vote. So I think it's more than a rumor at this point, where it's gaining ground and everything. And it's like one of the Elliott executives is really on the city council pushing it. So it's like, I think, you know, there's more to it than just, you know, rumors at this point.
Yep, absolutely. Now, what were some of the unexpected challenges that you faced as a first-time investor?
As a first-time investor, you know, I've been planning, saving for about 4 years, you know, working 2 jobs. You know, some of the hurdles that we hit, rental history. You know, if you're a first-time buyer, if you're renting, or, you know, if you just have a roommate or something, make sure you're getting a rental log. That's big with the lenders and everything. They like seeing lines of credit. You know, I had a good credit score and everything, but it's like, you know, there's certain boxes, you know, they want you to see. So if you are planning to go for it, I would recommend call a lender a year or 2 in advance. Just open up that door, start talking to them. What do I need that you need on paper now that I can start preparing for when I'm ready to make my move? Yeah,
and we tell people this all the time. And they always, you know, I feel like we get a lot of pushback, you know, agents, brokers. I'm like, you need to have a conversation with your lender. Make sure there's nothing that pops up that you don't know about. That stuff happens all the time. I got a deal right now I'm working where they had a $27,000 loan that popped up that had to be paid off because it was a lien. Nobody knew about it, and it popped up. Now, did they pay it off? Yes, absolutely. But the point is, the lender is going to be able to find things on your credit report that you might not be aware of. He's going to advise you on how to get your credit report where it needs to be, so that way you are positioned to get the best interest rate possible. And also, he's going to tell you all the little nuances that are going to pertain to you as a first-time investor. Like, you know, you have to own a primary residence. Do you own a primary residence? You know, just stuff that you're not going to be thinking about.
Yeah, take the time to do it now, so when your future self is ready, you're going to be saving yourself thousands of dollars with, you know, all the little things you would have to come up with. You know, it's never a bad time to get your realtor, find a good broker like Brandon, you know, get it started now.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk through these appreciation numbers. Now, 2014, if you would have purchased the average 1-bedroom at the Meridian, it was $68,000. Fast forward to 2024, $171,625 was that sales price last year. Appreciation to the tune of $103,625. Basically, guys, we're talking $10,000 a year that you're making in appreciation. Man, that's some really good money. Now, that's in addition to the annual profits that this investment makes you. And I would tell you that a lot of investors won't go with the smaller condos and go with larger condos because they appreciate better, and that appreciation can help carry the investment if you have lean years. Plus, it's a lot less competition because there's a lot more smaller condos than larger condos on the market. So the efficiencies, 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms, there's a lot of them. The 3 and the 4 bedrooms, there's a whole lot less. The 4 bedrooms, there are the least, and 5 bedrooms, there are the very least. So those are the areas where there's a lot less competition on Airbnb and VRBO, but there is plenty of money to be made in oceanfront condos. Now, Alex, in what ways have you built a team, a network to facilitate your short-term vacation rental property, your oceanfront condo?
So just, when I started doing my research, I literally just went on YouTube and Googled, Myrtle Beach oceanfront short-term rentals. That's how I met Brandon. He has a lot of educational tools and everything on there. Started watching his videos and reached out. I met my lender through a local marketing group, started talking with her, we got the ball rolling, was able to get the deal done on a condo, just through moving down here and working hospitality, you meet people, you can network, you find your handyman, you find people that, electrician, when you need a small favor in the middle of the night, it's going to be better for you to have that person in your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. And me being boots on the ground here, an investor broker, I'm going to have a full network of contractors, lenders, attorneys, inspectors, insurance people, whatever it is that you're interested in. I've got a person for you to help you. So I've done a lot of that work for you. You're kind of inheriting the network I've already built, and it makes the process a lot simpler and a whole lot easier. Now, let's talk about your advice on negotiating prices. Now, what we see a lot in oceanfront condos more recently, investors will own these oceanfront condos. They're making money with them. So they've got their property on the market and they're like, well, if you don't give me what I want, I'll just hold the property and rent it for another year or two.
And that's pretty much the case we ran into.
Yep.
I wanted to buy a nicer condo where I wouldn't have to put, $30,000, $40,000 into a renovation. When people are coming to the beach, times have changed. Probably 10 years ago, any room at the beach would rent. Now people, with the evolution of Airbnb, VRBO, people are wanting nicer units. They want to make their trips memorable. So I definitely think that's a factor in it when it's coming to the pricing. For us, we didn't pay full asking price, but it was pretty close to it.
Yeah,
there wasn't a lot of wiggle room. There's like, I got a nice unit. It's going to rent if someone buys it or not. Because it sat on the market for about a year before it sold, before we came along.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly. I'd have to pull it, but I will tell you that condos in our market in general they're sitting on the market longer. Days on market is up, and technically it is a buyer's market. There's tons of condo inventory on the market. Now, does that change a seller who's already renting his unit and making profit? No. And now you will run into that. The seller is like, hey, if you don't want to pay me what I'm asking for it, I'm an investor just like you. I've got to get a certain dollar amount out of this unit. Either give me what I want or I'll just rent it a whole nother year. And we see that and hear that. Now, is that always the case? No. Just last year, I helped a client purchase an oceanfront condo, $100,000 under the last sold comparable in that place. So it is totally, yes. Do I work to get my clients the best deal on their condo? Absolutely. Do I try to get tons of cash off the asking price? You better believe it. As an investor for you, you make money when you buy. So I do my best. But at the same token, what we're seeing in the market is sellers are being stubborn because oceanfront condos are renting and making money in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, let's talk a little bit about seasonal occupancy and rental strategies. I talked to two different investors, and they both told me this. They told me that Myrtle Beach was a last-minute market. That have you heard that too?
Yes, when I work at a resort down on the southern side, and a lot of our traffic, if the weather's good, like it's been this week, it's going to fill up. The best money you're going to make is the last minute money, because they're going to be paying prices. You don't want to get a booking right now for 4th of July where, in 2 months, it's like, okay, I might be able to get $300 or $400 more at that last minute rate. I would say a lot of people, because a lot of the tourists we get from Myrtle, they're coming in from North Carolina, just over Atlanta, Tennessee. It's a very regional market where a lot of our people are coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, let me tell you, it is seasonal and it does fluctuate. And the last minute strategy is real. Now, our peak season is April through September. That's when you're going to get the bulk of your rentals. June, July, and August are the peak of the peak. You should make, if you're doing this right, enough money those 3 months to pay all of your operational costs for the entire year, if you're doing this well. And if you don't believe me, ask Matt Freeze, who at the time he told me this, he owned 11 oceanfront condos. I think he only owns 9 now, but he sold 2 of them. He makes enough money on his oceanfront condos in those 3 months out of the year to pay all of his operating expenses. Now, last minute strategy. 2 different investors told me they jack their prices up and they wait for last minute guests to book their rentals.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, and we use that same logic, to get people who's coming in last minute because, once the rooms start filling up, people are still coming to the beach, so they're more likely they're going to be willing to pay more on the dollar for that last minute stay.
All day long. One of the guys, it was his first year out the gate. He only rented it on Airbnb. He had a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom over at Sand Dunes. He made $63,000. His first year ever doing this. I mean, that's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And just on Airbnb, like not VRBO, not Booking.com, by having high prices and waiting for last minute bookers to book it.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way to go.
Now, what role does lifestyle appeal like beach access and local culture play in your investment strategy? Obviously, you chose this one because of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, Myrtle Beach was always a familiarity with us. So it's like just knowing the area a little bit and living here, it's like you get to sense it a little bit more than just a typical tourist. So it's like you get to see how much more we have to offer just outside of the typical things in a city. Brook Green Gardens, Huntington State Beach Park,
Barefoot Landing.
Yes, there's so much more than just right outside of Myrtle.
Now let's talk about Barefoot Landing. Barefoot Landing is in North Myrtle Beach.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Broadway at the beach. There's tons of activities, tons of restaurants. There's a marina on the water where you can drive up and get off your boat and eat at the restaurant there on the water. There are shops and boutique shops. There's cafes. They've got obstacle courses out there. They got Lulu's out there. They've got arcade out there. And then like Sunday afternoons, you go out, you eat at the restaurant. They've got a whole play area with all kinds of like life-size checkers. And there's just stuff to do.
Yeah, they have free live music up there almost every weekend during the summer where you can go up with your family, just hang out and, save for your vacation budget. The Crooked Hammock is another good
Crooked Hammock, yeah. And they got all those all those games to play outside.
Yes. Of it. Yeah. And it's like, there are several things to do up there just to be able to entertain your family.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. So tons of tourist attractions. This place is a tourist haven. There's over 90 golf courses in our market. Basically 20 to 22 million people visit here every year because there's so much to do. If it's not Broadway at the beach or Barefoot or Brook Green Gardens or Atalaya Castle, Huntington Beach State Park, there's stuff everywhere to do.
Yeah, there's something for everybody. You don't have to be just sitting on the beach. You could be a golf enthusiast. There are so many things that are just a quick drive from here that, people love to do in here.
Absolutely. Now let's work through your depreciation on this property at $179,900 purchase price over 27.5 years. It comes out to $6,541.82. That's your taxable income deduction that you can write off by owning and operating this property each and every year. Of course, speak with your CPA. And for all you high income earners, get with me about a cost segregation study. I have contact information for a person that will do a cost segregation study for you. You could be writing off as much as $40,000 in a given year. I believe you should invest in oceanfront condos in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because this is the fastest growing area out of the 150 most populated areas in the entire United States for the last 3 years in a row, according to U.S. News and World Report. This helps to insulate our market from many of the ups and downs that the rest of our nation's real estate market experiences. This can help you have a more stable rental property. I believe you should invest in oceanfront condos in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because they have a tremendous upside when compared to money market accounts and the stock market, due to the appreciation they earn and the potential of higher annual yields through their gross rental income when compared to these other investments. Money market accounts and the stock market don't have the upside of added appreciation. I believe you should invest in oceanfront condos in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because while our prices have risen and have held their value, we're also much cheaper than other places like Florida. Where else can you go and find an oceanfront condo for as little as $100,000? If you're getting into the real estate game or expanding your current portfolio, the bang for your buck is sitting right on the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina oceanfront. I get calls and emails every day from investors just like you looking to make their move into the Myrtle Beach market. They want to invest in short-term vacation rental properties. They want to invest in oceanfront condos. They want to know where the best deals are in our market. Well, guys, you're talking to the right person. 843-360-1737. I'm going to help you put your hands on the best deals in our market. If you're a first-time investor or a seasoned investor, if you're 1 year, 6 months, 3 years out, I don't care where you are in the investing process, pick up the phone, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text message, and let one of the many stories on our channel be one of your stories.